for what I got. We are back. Episode 161. Is that the right number?
That's it. 161.
161. Huge amount of time spent on a podcast.
Hey, and let us start by saying thanks to everyone on the last 3 episodes of the pod. They have outperformed like almost every episode except Scott and the car salesman that we've ever done. And so I just want to appreciate everybody that's been listening and watching and keeping us going. We got Scott back on because last time he was on, we talked Internet Invitational. And then when it came out the other night, we're all texting each other, watching it, kind of updating each other. We're like, we got to have Scott back on to kind of dissect what happened. But first, before we get any further, thanks to Moon Golf for making this possible for us. Partners with us again going into the new year. Shout out to Moon. Go check them out. Internet Invitational, boys.
Y'all were a little ahead of me because Bama was playing basketball. Their tip was like 30 minutes prior to the Internet Invitational. So I had to turn my phone on silent and not look at text messages because I did not want to see any of the results prior to actually witnessing it.
Can I pause real quick just to throw a little dig at Zach? Casey, you mind?
Go ahead, hit it.
Every time I'm on LSU Twitter, it makes me feel bad for my own fan base. And then I'm thinking about how spoiled we are and how we want a good coach and everything. And then I look at Zach's Twitter, and
I'm live tweeting the game.
The guy that has had 2,500 touchdowns to 1 interception this year, one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the country, has one not so great game. And your boy Zach's over here tweeting that he can't wait for him to be gone next year.
No. I didn't say it like that. I said
I
appreciate what he's done, but I'm looking forward to the future to see, because I've seen what he's done in camp and in practice. The number 1 player in Alabama is always the backup quarterback. That's who everybody wants to see, matter who's on the field.
I know. Before this, it was Julian Sayon. Before that, it was blah, blah, blah.
Sayon would have been a dog.
Well, while on this topic, Scott, what do you think about Lane being at LSU recently?
Lane ain't coming to LSU. I've been all over LSU Twitter. I had 96,000 people on one tweet that it got like 5 retweets, but one podcast from LSU like quote tweeted it and like explained why he would be a good hire. That man ain't coming to LSU. That man is the biggest troll in college football. If anything, he's going to Florida.
Guy to get fired the week before the Natty.
If
tells you the character.
If anything, he's going to Florida, where his wife's stepdad or wife's father or ex-wife's father was I don't know. Anyways, regardless, he ain't coming to LSU. He's driving up the price for Ole Miss, or he's going to Florida. LSU fans have lost their mind this week.
But at plus 400 odds, y'all have Nick Saban coming in.
That ain't happening either.
He ain't coming back either.
That ain't happening either. People are losing. And the unfortunate part is now we're going to get stuck with a guy like Kenny Dillingham, who started his career as a water boy at Arizona State. I mean, we're in the depths, man. We are in the depths. If we get Summerall, I'll be jumping for joy. I think he's going to do great things at Auburn. If he goes to Auburn, I'm scared. Well, I'm not, because we don't have to play him anymore. But
But that's our little football topic for the week. It's mid-season.
Look, I got the LSU. I'm repping for y'all.
LSU rowback today.
It's got.
There you go.
It looks good on you. It's just got purple and gold.
All right, back to golf. Back to golf. My bad.
No, you're good. And so let me also say, if you haven't finished Internet Invitation, there's about to be spoilers said in the next few seconds. So cut this off and go finish.
You should have finished by now.
You should have.
And if you didn't catch any of the other spoilers anywhere else,
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to catch it here.
So here we go, real quick before we even get into like the main topic of the most recent episode. What did y'all think about the winning team? Like, was that who you expected? Even from the beginning, before you saw Brad just go crazy in the few episodes, like did Brad, Beef, and who's the third one for them?
Francis.
Is that what y'all expected?
I've seen enough of Francis play when they lined up who the 3v3 was. I thought Brad could carry most of the weight. Francis is pretty consistent. I thought Beef would be better, having been a pro. But I didn't with alternate shot. You got Brad right after him every time, so it's one of them. I thought the team was strong. I thought the other team would win, though.
Oh, Paige and them, Frankie. And...
Yeah, I didn't think Frankie's. He's just not mentally strong, and he's done that several times through his foreplay career, even before that big a moment. And I'm sure I would have done the same thing or duffed it with $1 million on the line.
Yeah. What about you, Scott? You pick that team? You like that team?
We'll get into the shot. Surprisingly, like going into the semifinals with the 4 teams, I did not expect. I didn't expect Josh Richards' team, the DoD team. I didn't expect them to do anything. But that other team that got beat, I'm trying to remember who was on that team. I expected it to be Paige's team and that team, just because I didn't think. I didn't think Beef and I didn't think Francis were going to hold their own enough in an alternate shot. I knew that if they were in a scramble format or a format where Brad could kind of take over, then they would be fine. But then in hindsight, Beef's not bad was not bad from 100 yards and in. You know, it's the long irons that really made him struggle. And then Francis is a pretty decent wedge player with short clubs in his hand. He gets
a 5
bit
handicap when they're asking everybody's handicap when they're figuring everything else.
If you're looking at it from a golf swing perspective, you know, it's not as far off as maybe you would think when you look at the other team. Now, just the finale purposes, on an alternate shot format, you have Paige, who's probably close to scratch, playing from her normal tees, and then Big Mo, who probably is somewhere in between scratch and 5. They probably had a stronger team on paper, but like Zach just mentioned, the mental fortitude plus everything that we're about to talk about, I mean, they were kind of up against it.
It was just cinema, man. With Beef, it was just cinema.
Yeah. Let's jump to the finish real quick so I can get this out of the way. I've never cried at a YouTube video, and I have and it might be because, you know,
not
he
even
was
when
just
we
such a
beat
good
you?
Dude. What you say?
Not even when we beat you? It didn't make you cry?
No, that was expected. That was expected. Brady's a good player.
And us.
Just kidding. But you know, it might be something because I've lived the life that Beef lived. I know what he means by the golf course feels like home, and never going to work felt like going to work. And he was always there to make people's days better. And just living that for a decade and knowing exactly what he meant by that when they're talking. And then you've got the clip of what he would do with the money, and he would give some to charity, and then he would pay his parents' mortgage off. Like, he just seemed it never seemed like he was doing it for the camera, because we saw this before he was ever even Barstool affiliate, when he was just posting his videos that went viral. They went viral for the wrong reasons. Let's make no bones about it. Like, they went viral because he is a mammoth human being, or was a mammoth human being, that had pretty decent tips, and his character and the way that he gave out those tips, just wanting to help people. He was just a very charismatic, loving, caring person. And I just thought Barstool and Bob Their Sports editors, I thought they did a great job at the end, like showcasing how much his win meant to everybody that was there still watching, and the reactions that everybody had towards him. You know, so proud of him, and he's tearing up, and you know, that's life changing, man. He's battling through the tears, and he just seemed like such a good dude. And so the end, before we get into the antics of what happened during the end, man, just made me. I
good.
had some
It was
tears.
good.
I had some tears.
Before I was trying to find it, before he went to Barstool, I had messaged him trying to get him on the pod, and he didn't
Dang.
respond. But
Didn't know that.
I had reached out. I found all these little pieces that have guys that have went beyond where they were when I messaged them, and they don't come on the pod.
Man, so you're saying I'm up next for something big?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We found
don't
you
forget
in
about
the
it.
dirt.
Yeah, don't forget about it.
Would never do that, boys.
All right, well, let's get into it. Everybody's thrilled. We love who won. Brad definitely deserved it. Francis, he's a good guy. My favorite thing was Francis tweeting later about him soaking Brad in champagne and then realizing Brad's 3 years sober. And he said, if I didn't already ask him to do enough for me, then I'm making him like withstand this. And then Beef, of course. Hole 10 or 12, whatever it was. I text Scott, said, what hole are you on? I said, I just started. Zach hadn't started yet. He said, I'm on hole 12. And he said, text me when you get there. Get to hole 12. And I'm like, dog, what is happening? So let's get into it real quick. Peter Finch, kudos to him for speaking up. I guess you could tell Fat Perez did not want to deal with it. He was hoping that they would lose that hole. But explain to everybody listening what happened, why Peter Finch had to speak up.
Yeah, so first of all, Peter Finch is a fellow PGA guy. He's been before YouTube Golf. Peter was a golf pro, and one of the things is that you learn when you start your career and when you're working through the PGA program and whatnot is you have to maintain the integrity of the game no matter what, right? So like it doesn't matter if it's a normal day, you're not supposed to be the guy that's cheating. If it's just a normal round with your friends, you're supposed to set the example. And so you could see the dilemma that he has going through his head, right? Because as soon as he sees it, it is now a okay, so first of all, what he sees is after they've identified the golf ball, they weren't looking for the golf ball. After they've identified the golf ball and they're talking about the shot, in the back of one of the cart cams, you can see Paige taking her hands and matting down the grass, not only behind the ball, but probably more importantly in front of the ball. Because when you're in that tall fescue or that tall grass, your club number one can get wrapped. And what we mean by wrapped is the momentum of the club basically slows down coming into the ball by the grass, but then exiting when you need that velocity to help get the ball in the air, and the club just gets grabbed by the grass. And all tournament long, you could see whenever somebody hit it into that tall grass, the the you almost had to lob wedge it or sand wedge it out just sideways, and you couldn't really advance it very far. So when you see Big Mo put a 6-iron swing on it and it goes 180 yards,
Like
which
15
can't
feet or
be.
something, wasn't it?
Wait, no, it was probably 15 or so yards short of the green,
Okay. Yeah.
but the crazy part and the wild part about it was just he didn't just wedge it out. And all week long across the 6 videos, anytime people hit it in there, they just had to basically take a wedge and wedge it out of there. And so I think that was the biggest kind of red flag in everybody that was watching kind of their what just happened? How did he do that? Well, then Pete's the
Even
one that.
Portnoy, though. Portnoy didn't know it went on. He said something about Melosi cheating, or did Page tee his ball up? That's what he said. He said, did Page tee his ball up? Because it's such a good shot.
And even before that, I think Brad had mentioned to Pete to watch them in the grass and watch them kind of, make sure they're not doing anything funky or whatever. So regardless, when he sees that, you can see the kind of it's just going through his head. He's like, all right, what do I do here? Like this should be an automatic loss of hole. No matter what in match play, that's going to be an automatic loss of hole. So if they lose the hole, which they did, but if they lose the hole, that's basically the end of it regardless. But it's still blatantly cheating. And I think the biggest problem with it is the Page was already twerping at, or already kind of going at Francis for not giving that 2.5 to 3 footer on number one.
Playing a professional tournament.
Yeah, where she was
never
like,
played competitive
you
golf.
never played competitive
Yeah.
golf. I think that was like the biggest, like, okay, that sets the precedent. Kind of, this is going to be a little chirpy. This is going to be a little testy, kind of going forward. And then when I thought the weirdest thing of all was Paige, who has played high level, competitive golf, and I mean, she has the most followers across the golf sphere, like across everybody. Now we can argue what the purpose of that is or why she has those followers, but she's very well known and she's been in pro-ams and she's played in professional events, and to act like you can't do that,
Oh yeah.
you can't do that.
He said, "I
It's
didn't
like,
know. I didn't know."
bruh,
And then the
like
tears, dog.
They're saying I'm cheating
I
on
couldn't stand
I
the
just
tears.
I would never cheat out.
Dude,
And then the waterworks
wow.
come and you can hear like sniffling for
Yeah.
the next 2 or 3 holes. And then everybody's like trying to coddle her. They're like, we're not saying you're cheating, but
Yeah.
everybody saw you cheating. Yeah, it was a bad look for Paige.
Casey
And
canceled his Patreon subscription to her after
First
that.
off, everybody listen, I don't even follow her on Instagram. I do not have anything to do with her. Do you think that was handled the right way? Like, of course, they won Paige and them lost that hole, but do you think there should have been a penalty? As soon as they found out, like, that she really did that, should they have been like, well, some kind of penalty? I mean,
yeah, I think the only really in the rules of golf, like the only people that can call you on that and can actually assess the penalty, Dave made up his own little. He was like the rules. Him and Big Cat were like the rules guys or whatever. But in true match play, your competitor has to call you on that, or you have to call yourself on that, right? So like those are really the only two, because I guess if you're playing in a USGA and you actually have a rules official traveling with you or walking along with you, then they could call it as well. But for the most part, in a normal match play, just you and some buddies, either your opponents have to call you on it or you have to call yourself on it. And so neither of those two things happened. Brad and them were way up, they didn't see it. And then Paige, of course, didn't call it on herself. So I think for the content purposes, they handled it correctly. They told Brad and Francis. Brad kind of was like, well, they're going to lose the hole anyways. Francis was like, no, like this is an opportunity. I think Francis was like, this was an opportunity to kind of flip the match, get the momentum on our side, and to like shake them up a little bit. Like we're watching you type thing. So I didn't really have a problem with the way anybody handled that situation. I had a problem with Paige and how she reacted to the situation.
I think one thing Dave brought forward for next Invitational is to have rules officials. I think one of the problems is Dave doesn't golf. So when they're like, go do a rangefinder check which is an issue later we'll talk about.
He didn't even know. He didn't
He doesn't know. He doesn't know what a rangefinder is, much less
he was looking at the cart, like the cart screen was going to show him.
But as far as that debacle, my favorite part was like I said, when Dave was like, "Did she tee that up for you?" And he's like, "No," and then it shows the clip of her over there, basically, like you said, just pushing grass down. And I don't know what part of her thought. One, that was okay. Two, this is Barstool. There's cameras everywhere. Like obviously, you didn't get caught. And then
you see this. You see this a lot. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Case. You see this a lot with like just your friends when y'all go play golf and they hit into the woods and they start breaking limbs or they start holding limbs back to try to make a swing, both of which are illegal. You can't do that. You basically, the only thing you can move out there is anything that isn't nature glued down to the ground. So loose impediments, sticks, and you can improve your lie basically moving dead grass, limbs, rocks, as long as the golf ball doesn't move. So, I think she probably was thinking like, well, the golf ball, if I'm going to defend her in any way, she might have been getting confused because the golf ball wasn't moving and she's not like breaking anything off. But at the same, it's the integrity of the rule. It's the integrity of the game. Like you can't improve your lie on either the backstroke, like leaving the ball, or going through. It's one of the things that Patrick Reed and others. He's just the most
Reed in the bunker guy.
Yeah, that or like a lot of the guys will take a wood, and this isn't just Patrick Reed. This is all over the place. People do this all the time, which most people have a problem with. But they'll pretend like they're gonna hit an iron, and they'll go behind it with a 6 iron, and then they'll go behind it with a 7 iron, and they'll mat the grass down with a club, and they'll put it down behind the ball, then they'll lift it up and swing over the top of the ball like a practice swing.
Mhm.
And then they get it so flat to then they can put a 3-wood or a 7-wood or a 5-wood or something on it, and then they can hit it. It's by the
Is that
rules
what
of
you've
the
been doing,
game.
Casey?
I wish I hit my 3-wood good no matter what. I can't hit it off the fairway. You think doing that's gonna help me?
By the rules of golf, technically, that I guess that wouldn't be considered cheating because you're just going through your shot process of selecting a club. But everybody kind of knows that's a little loophole to get away with it, and so she might have thought that she's just kind of using it to her advantage. But the difference there is she's using her hands and her feet. She's
Yeah.
not even using a club to do that, and she couldn't use a club because it's not her shot in the alternate shot. So I thought that we're going to get into the Mo situation after this, but I thought that was the most egregious rule break of the final round
I
was
think
when she did that. And then the reaction just, she made herself look way more guilty than she even was.
I think it's a self-integrity thing too. When you're playing, if you're changing a lot, like how many times are we on different sides of the fairway, Casey, and you're like, well, you could cheat without the other one knowing real quick.
Yeah.
But then you always say, well, the golf gods know.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But at the same time, it's like you're cheating yourself and you're cheating your supposed to be friend when you're playing. And this is for $1
Hmm.
million. So the
Yeah.
fact
That's
you wouldn't
true.
have integrity to play it straight then with all the cameras, who knows what you're doing when you're solo or in the skins matches for something.
Yeah.
Well,
One more take that I don't think many have talked about outside of us or on this platform is she has posted 2 videos leading up to the finale or the semifinals where she was talking about like the online hate that she was getting, and she was almost like getting out ahead of it in a
oh
way.
yeah, you knew it was coming.
And she was just bossy, and she was just like taking over her team, and like people were hating on her for that. I think she was preemptively so nervous about what was going to come out because she knew this happened in the
Mm-hmm.
finale and it was 2 months ago, and she knew the hate that was about to come her way, that she was already again playing the victim card 2 months later, posting these videos talking about,
Probably
you know,
scheduled them.
yeah, exactly. Like it's one of those things where none of it. None. I will be surprised if she gets another invite next year. She may, because for clicks, and like
That'd be
the 2
wild.
reasons that
Yeah,
we
and
want
they
And
bring
we
it
want
back.
them
Patreon
to.
subscribers push her to the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Um,
it would be in a disservice, I think, to invite her back at this point.
Yeah.
well,
Especially
if
when you
you're
got 2 guys like me and Casey that could come.
you sussed. All right. Well, the next big thing is the previous episode before this. There was this moment where Mo was getting yardage on the tee box. Micah said, "Mo, is your slope on?" Mo's like, "No." They have 5 different yards, so I didn't think much of that. I mean, when I saw it, I thought, "Oh, maybe I don't know." Didn't think much of it. So then we get into this episode, and now all of a sudden there's this whispering going around. Mo's got slope on, and so Witt's freaking out. He's down there talking to Mo, asking Mo. They're up there checking rangefinders, and there's this one moment. I wish I had this queued up, and I don't know everybody's thoughts because TikTok has broke it down frame by frame. Mo has his rangefinder behind his sand on the side of his cart, but it's more of the way he reaches for it and his instant thumb placement. I've never grabbed a rangefinder, that I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just looks bad. His hand placement of where he puts his thumb, and you can almost see when one TikTok detective slowed it down.
Yeah, where
It's like
his
he
thumb
grabs it, but his thumb
slightly
slides as he
moves.
grabs it. Yeah,
Mhm.
but then there's other detectives that have like showing it, and they're like, you don't see the red or the green, whatever you're supposed to see. But with him, and then looking at it, what's everybody's thoughts? Yes or no? He had the slope on.
I think once is a mistake, twice is your caught. if it hadn't happened the first time, you'd be like, "Oh, he's good." But the fact him and Micah had already had that discourse about it,
Yeah.
I think he was using it all day, and then he just got caught.
And with him and Micah, the hole they had that on, Mo got it to the back of the green where it was, and whoever he's hitting against was real short front of the green. So he had some good yardage to get it back there. Now, that could have
For
been
sure.
he just hit it, but that was like a 40-yard difference between the front of the green and the back of the green where the pin was.
And the slope won't count for 40 yards. So correlation isn't necessarily causation. We don't know that for sure. However, there's two things I'm going to mention. I think here's what happened. I think he was caught with Micah the very first time. I think he was using it, and we didn't see if it would happen on episodes 1 through 4. But in the semifinals, I think he was caught. So I think what then happened was, because if you go back and watch, like, there's multiple times where he's in charge of the distance, and they're like, "What do you think this plays?" And he's like, 146, probably with slope 138, and he's like
Yeah.
guessing, like playing it off like it's not on. I think what was happening, and this is just my personal opinion, I think what was happening was he had it because every time he shot his distance, he was using two hands. And normally you're shooting a rangefinder, most of the time we're just one click and we're gone, and it's with one hand. I think what was happening was when it was needed, he was turning it on and off.
Yep.
He was using both hands to cover it up. And I think, and this is just me, I don't think the slope was on when he grabbed it off the cart, but I don't think he knew that for a fact.
That's why he went to check. He like checking.
I think because then he made up that thing. He was like, "Oh, I was just grabbing it to give to somebody." Well, if you're just grabbing it to give, you would have
Why are
grabbed
you
it and
tucking it under the seat? Yeah.
you would have grabbed it to give it. And I think what happened was he went back to his cart, and we're going to talk about what happened with Witt going down there and talking to him in just a second, because I have a thought on that as well. But I think what happened was he grabbed it to check, because I don't think he knew if it was on or off. I think he thought he had it turned off, and he probably did have it turned off because I think he was just going back and forth. But then he needed to double check before he let anybody check it. Now, with the Portnoy and with the Witt situation, they had their side bet, right? So Witt came out in a podcast or one of their shows that they do weekly with the Barstool guys or whatever. It came out this week. And he was like, "I'm thinking in my head that somebody had just said, FP had said, it's just like having a 15th club. Any hole that they played with it on, it would be a loss of hole. So on hole 12, the match would be well over. It would be over." And I don't think Portnoy would have ever let that happen, because you have such a huge event. You're not going to let it just fizzle out like that. It was already drama filled enough. Like, you're not going to let the match end like that. But I think what Witt was doing was protecting that cash that he had against Portnoy, because if Witt doesn't go down there and tell them that all of this is being talked about up on the hill, and his slope was on, and he wasn't the first guy back to it, right? It just seemed like Witt was in this not for the integrity of not cheating.
He don't care.
He don't care. It was just simply the side bet and the cash, and that was a dumb bet on Witt's part in the first place. But regardless, I think that, it's one of those situations where, was he cheating? Probably. To double down and
hand to
God and say that you hadn't been using slope at all, and blaming when Micah first said it, and blaming the fact that you shot it. He took his hand and he pointed. He was like, "Well, I shot it from up there."
Yeah, like 2 yards ahead.
Like 2 yards ahead. It was not enough to change that from 142 to 137. You got caught, and then you double down, right? And
I think you have to. In his defense, you have to double down. You can't give away the event that late.
No, I was fully prepared when him and Dave got on the green, and Dave was like, "Just me and you, Melosi. I need you to tell me." I was fully prepared for Melosi to be like a kid got caught. Like, yeah, I did. Like, I was ready for the show to end.
That's what
I don't think you can.
No, I thought that's what was going to happen, and then he was like, "No, I swear." And I was like, "Oh."
I think once you committed to it, you're stuck.
Oh yeah.
With being raised with a father with a sociology degree, you read body language, and you learn how to read body language at an early age. And he completely changed for the rest of the match after that.
Oh yeah.
So regardless on if you double down or not, like, the world knows, we all know, just based on how you acted after. We all know. Now, I'm not saying the dude should lose his YouTube career. I'm not saying that Good should kick him off. I'm not saying any of that. But if we're gonna make Luke Kwan put out a 17-minute long apology talking about oversleeping, which I have another fun caveat that we can go back into about that. But if we're gonna make that the biggest deal on the internet for 5 days, to just not even to come out and say I can take the heat, just don't message my
No,
family,
he
which
didn't put out a
nobody
statement or
should be
nothing.
messaging.
Yeah.
Nobody should be messaging his family, but he's still acting like he didn't do anything wrong, that he's getting away with it scot free, and that just kind of rubs me
Yeah.
the wrong way
I
a
think that
little
was like
bit.
you said. That was everything I need to see was he knew that he was using it and he had it off, but when he reached for the rangefinder and he kind of made sure it was off, that was enough for me to be like, dog's been using it. He just wanted to make sure it was off.
For
Whole
sure.
situation was wild. Just wild that it was caught on camera too. Like, because Barstool's going to throw it in there because for the drama. Like they're like, let's build this up.
Speaking of slope, when we have our match in 2 weeks, Casey, no slope.
I don't have a rangefinder, Zach. I go off you. You tell me what the
There we
yardage
go.
is.
Then I'll give
So-
two different numbers.
That's a
I do think the rules should change because every yardage book known to man has slope written down in the yardage book. So, for example, if I have, like when I've gotten to play Peachtree a few times, and Peachtree's, even though it's in the heart of Buckhead, which seems relatively flat, Peachtree is just like Augusta. It's up and down and sideways. If you buy the yardage book for Peachtree that is legal from the rules of golf that those guys use in their back pocket that has their name or their college or whatever, the yardage books and the stuff that they have inside, it has the slope for every single tee shot, every single approach shot written down in it. Like people use slopes and then put that in the yardage book. So I think it's another situation that the game of golf is just late to modernize. We should be using this as if you're going to make it as simple as a switch on the side of a rangefinder that nobody can tell if it's on or off when you're playing. How many times is this happening in a local mini tour? You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah,
people are going to use every advantage that they see fit. We should just modernize the game, speed up pace of play, use the slope, and make it legal. Like this should not. First of all, as much money as you're playing for,
Right.
we're not. This is not a serious. Like, okay, it's a serious event, of course, but this isn't a serious event when you're going to penalize Luke Kwan 4 holes in a 9-hole match for being 10 minutes late to the tee time, but then also not
and gets nothing.
but then also not letting slope play, and like you're already picking and choosing which rules you're going to enforce. You're playing a scramble, which is literally not even in the rules of golf. The scramble is there's nothing for a Fort Lauderdale in the rules of golf. The closest thing we have is a better ball or a best ball, which is you both play and you take the best score. It's the only rules that we can even compare it to. So it's a little bit of talking out of both sides of their mouth if they were going to DQ Melosi's team every hole for using slope. If we're going to go by the actual rules of golf, Luke should have been able to join on hole 2. So it's a little bit of inconsistencies and a little bit like what Zach's saying as far as Barstool just kind of playing it up for the content. It made for great
I
content.
love the whole series. I'm ready for the next season.
Absolutely, me too. It made for great. But to Zach's point, if you're gonna do it, bring in PGA guys. I'll volunteer. I'll go out there and be the rules official. I ain't gotta play. In fact, I probably don't want to play. But I'll go out. I can't play against you guys on camera. I'll go out there and play, or I'll go out there and be the rules official for these guys. I mean, we just have to. If you're gonna do it, you can't put 2 guys, Big Cat and Dave, who don't play golf, especially with one of them having the whole purse put up in his own money and then a side bet on the finale. Like these guys can't be the rules officials for this group.
Realistically, with Barstool's reach, you could probably have guys volunteer, local PGA pros within 30 miles that would come and have a
100%
pro on each hole.
100%, or a pro, not even on each hole, a pro with each group. You need 9.
Yeah,
because you're gonna have 9. You're gonna have 9 out, or 12, whatever. 12 times 4, so 48. You're gonna have 12, and that's only the first day. It dwindles after that.
My side thought, this was a thought I had made when watching it, is Is Melossi not making the money everybody else in Good Good's making? Because the whole time he had like he was broke, like his net worth was so down, he needed this money. Like the hitting the water, the shot out of the water. I was like, is he not getting the same cut? Because everybody else seems to be loaded.
I'd imagine the structure of that is a lot different than what you're thinking it is. Because I mean, the guys that originally started Good have to be
Big
like the
percentage
ones
owners.
making the money from the merch and stuff. You have
Yeah.
to imagine these guys that joined up later, especially like Brad is such a big name because he's winning the Creator Classic and he's
Oh
played in
yeah,
the Masters and he's played in 5 U.S. Hams and Junior Hams and he's beaten Scotty Scheffler and Sean is a really good player, and then you got your OGs like Bubby and the other guys that are kind of a part of it. These guys that they just bring on randomly through the years, they can't be incentivized the same exact way.
yeah.
And I also think that Mo probably has a family and everything else, that he was kind of talking about. So, by all accounts, I think Mo's a pretty good dude. I just think that one, he's probably used to being able to get away with some stuff like that, and even some of his other guys, some of the
Yeah,
good
they were
guys,
talking about it.
they're like, hey, he's a little loose with the rules. Like you can't have that reputation, man. You just can't. So it's a little surprising to me that he hasn't issued any type of apology. He
Same. I
good
checked all
hasn't
ago.
good really. I mean, they put out their podcast and they've talked about it, but they haven't really came out and said anything about it. It's not a good look for their brand. It's
Yeah.
really not a good look.
He's probably gonna let it slide. Last thing I want to talk about for this episode. Let's recap it. Frankie and his wedge shot. If you're new to Barstool Golf, anybody listening, Frankie has always been known as butter knives. He cannot hit a wedge shot. It's been a minute. He's even went to a golf therapist or a psychologist to try to figure this out. He's had lessons with Kevin Kisner, like professional golfers, and for a while there, he's gotten a lot better. His wedge shots, his golf game has actually been really good here lately. It came down to 18. He needed to just chip it up, get it tight. He was, I don't know, 15 yards off the green, maybe.
Yeah,
Uh,
maybe 20 to that front
yeah,
pin.
pin was at the front. Water, there's a pond behind. Frankie goes back, swings, blades hit right into the pond, and essentially loses the match for it was all square going 18.
Paige was staring daggers at him.
All
Yeah,
square.
which is
I mean, yeah.
ironic.
Right.
Yeah, I will say one thing in Frankie's defense. Paige is supposed to be the best golfer in that group. She is the
He
A
should have
player.
hit the green.
It's 160 yards
Oh, yeah.
downhill.
He
Downhill.
should have been center of the green.
Center of the green all day. In the last, if you look back at the semifinals, she had a 75 or 80-yard shot downhill and she barely hit it 30 yards and left Frankie in that death bunker that was 35 yards short of the green.
Mhm.
So that's two in a row that Paige absolutely choked to leave Frankie in an awful situation. And he got away with one of them and he didn't get away with the second one. Now, from a golf instructor side of things, I'm going to give y'all boys a tip.
Was it he was so fast? That's what I thought when I saw it. He just back for it.
We'll get into that in just a minute. You have to know what you're doing, and you don't have to know the technicality of how to do it, but you have to know what type of shot that you're trying to hit. Are you trying to hit it high? Are you trying to land it into a spot into the very front of the green and let it roll up there? Are you trying to carry it over the edge and then let it roll? What are you trying to do? How creative can you possibly be? Any 20 handicapper can hit better shots if they envision the shot that they're trying to hit before they hit it. So, yes, is it a technical problem? Absolutely. There was so much wrong with his technique. I could spend 10 minutes talking to you about the problems with his technique. But the very first thing, and he acknowledged this on the Foreplays podcast that I actually listened to. I don't normally listen to Foreplay, but I did this week. He acknowledged this. He goes, I don't know what I was trying to do. I don't know what type of shot I was trying to hit. Everything was just racing. It was going too fast. Now, to your point, Casey, two things. Number one, the practice swing, he laid the sod over.
Yeah, I saw that.
That would have been in my head instantly.
He pulled a Joey Cold Cuts from Bob Does Sports and absolutely threw a divot in
We'll have to
his
swap the
practice
putter
swing.
after that.
When that happens, number one, you have to fix it, right? You have to fix the practice swing. If you throw a bad practice swing, which I'm not a big proponent of practice swings, but around the greens, sometimes you just need to paint the grass and kind of feel what the interaction is going to feel like. You got to see if you're into the grain, you got to see if you're down grain. for the layman terms out there, downgrade means your club's going to basically go with the way the grass is growing. Into the grain means the grass is growing back into you, which that one was. So it's very easy to chunk. So in that situation, he didn't do anything after. He played it off. He tried to act like that was the appropriate practice swing for that shot. And that inherently was one of the major problems. The second problem is on that shot, you cannot let your hands only hinge this way. Now, this is getting to the technical side of things. So I
noticed it when I saw it.
I brought my son's golf club to help y'all kind of understand this, and I'm going to stand up and demonstrate just for a second. So I apologize for the mic. Gotta pop this up where you can hear me.
Your mic this week is so much better than last week too.
Well, I didn't wear the AirPods. So
that's true.
When you're in that shot, the one thing you cannot do is just straight do this. Number one, it takes way too less time. And it preloads this angle to where I either have to drive this or I have to undo it really quickly back down at the ball, right? So you can't have that much what we call lateral or going around, like wrist set, where the club, sorry, the water's coming out of here because my son uses it in the bathtub, but the club just looks straight down and shut. This is never going to fly. So in that case, you want your hands to be working more than you want your wrists to be flipping or wrists to be setting. So there's a lot wrong technically with what he was doing, but I think the main thing was he just didn't know the type of shot he was trying to hit. He was just trying to get it over with. And then you've got the pressure of the $1 million, and you've got Dave, who is like his. They talk about him being
on the tee. Frankie butter knives.
My favorite edit was when they had Trevor Immelman like talking about him. That I've got a friend, Frankie. They call him butter knives because he just can't quit bleeding across the green. You knew it was gonna happen. Everybody watching knew it was gonna happen, and I just feel for him. I feel so bad because he almost like talked himself into it. He was talking about, he was like, this is gonna come down to me on the 18th tee, and I'm gonna have to hit a shot against Dalkey and this and that. And I think that was the hole that Brad actually hit a bad tee shot and hit it into the high grass on the right.
They were short left too. They had to punch out and get over there.
Yeah, like Brad hit it. Brad hit like a heel like miss to the right, and Frankie blew that driver way left, and then they got Mo had to, and that was another case where Mo had to pitch it out. He wasn't able to advance it way down there like he was on hole 12 or whatever. So it was an incredible finish. You saw it coming. You knew what was coming.
It was cinema.
And you couldn't stop it. It was like a train wreck that is about to happen with a school bus like sitting on top of the train tracks, and the train's just coming, and the school bus is stuck, and there's just nothing you can do. But shout out to everybody involved and the editors, the video. Like, did y'all see how many mics and how they had a picture of all the mics?
Talked about it.
And then like just the editing and how long and everything that must have taken, like it was incredible. Now the one more little piece before we get out of here. They were talking on the foreplay pod. They were like, the PGA Tour was watching, and I'm not saying they're going to change the format of the majors. Bro, let's stay in the ballpark here.
All right.
If they do anything, they should change the format of the Creator Classics to give time for editing and make it feel more like YouTube golf instead of the live streams where you're basically just watching them play golf. I think it was Fat Perez, FP's credit, he's like, the couple times they've done the Creator Classic, they just treat us like we're just tour pros out there, like just playing our own ball, and that's just not what we are. We get the banter with the carts, and we get the GoPro footage and the laughters, and what makes YouTube golf special is the editing and is how they put together the storylines and then the banner back and forth and the Bob to Sports and everything. So regardless, I loved it. It was great. It was awesome.
Well, we're going to get on
Awesome.
here. We'll have a surviving Barstool episode when y'all gonna have to watch it because it's just as good as the Internet Invitational. Y'all gonna love it if y'all watch it.
I'm definitely gonna watch it now.
Got to. It's so good.
I've
Man,
never
that's
heard
it.
of it.
You have to watch it. That's it for episode 161, presented by Moon Golf. And also, if you want to get some new clothes for the golf course, check out Johnny O. Link in the description for 15% off. We're looking forward to the next Internet Invitational. Real quick, this week, tonight, started POVs from the Keep where we went and played. Go check that out. And then
A lot of putts.
Listen,
a lot of putts all day.
That set the tone quick for the whole day, but it was a great time. So go check that out, and we'll make sure we'll see y'all for episode 162. Peace.